talent and skill that they possess as a roster, and that's often what's dragged them over the line here in a lot of these maps. So we are ready. We're going to throw on into Villa. MIBR starting things off on the defense here. This is
oh boy,
a little bit deja vu-y demo.
Do keep in mind though, Ollie, I know as much as we praise MIBR and, you know, a 6-0 half on Villa defense, it doesn't happen, but they somehow did it. You're probably sitting here thinking, oh, they get the defense now. This is phenomenal. But Black Dragons and Akave are two different teams with two very different attacking playstyles, so it's maybe not as clear-cut as what we would assume for that to happen. Still potential. MIBR can still pull out some really good defensive rounds. It's just a question, is Black Dragons going to crumble the same way that Akave did, or will they be able, supposed to give up that hamburger call whenever things are looking good and you want them to stay good? You're able to slow it down, control that game, and let MIBR beat themselves. We've analyzed all, like MIBR, whenever things aren't going well, they'll swing anything. They don't care what it is, they'll swing it.
They really will, and they'll just put the trust and faith in that gun skill that it's going to ride them through and be enough to get the job done. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but it's not a reliable strategy, is it? The bans have been confirmed. Thatcher, Flores, Wamai, and Valkyrie all removed. Curious to see Black Dragons the ones banning the Flores. They are usually a big Flores fan. But instead this time they're going to be letting that up and seeing if there's anything else that they can pick. There's a fear target ban that they did on Coastline. It just mattered not. It really didn't come into any sort of importance whatsoever. So obviously not trying to go for that again. Instead, they're going to be taking a good old-fashioned Villa lineup. Finka, Iana, Twitch, Sophia, and Hibana. A little bit of everything in the mix. Plenty of nades to get the job done. Some nice abilities thrown in there as well. Bit of Finka stimming here and there if required. And of course, Hibana to open up any walls they choose.
Moving over to our Aviator games, of course. I mean, the bans, the Wamai ban, Ollie, that's always going to be an interesting one, and that really does cripple what the defense can do. And I think Black Dragons, knowing that Wamai is a very potent operator, and you know, we've seen MIBR, that's usually a ban that they go for. They actually like to ban the Wamai, so in a way, MIBR, they were able to then go for something else. I mean, I say something else. It's still a Valkyrie ban, you Thatcher Valkyrie.
What else is it going to be? You know,
how much more original can you be?
Attackers are moving out to
I think last time I checked, it was 60% ban rate for Valkyrie. I'm not sure if that's gone up any or not.
Let's have a look.
67.6 now, so it's gone up again by a game or so. But yeah, poor old Val.
100%, by the way, this competition. Every map, Thatcher's been banned.
Yeah, that's a nutty one, isn't it?
That hey, it's not. The thing is, right? It's not a Lion. You think about whenever Lion was released, Lion. You had the nutty Lion.
Yeah.
Are we really saying that Thatcher is as good as Lion? We nerfed Lion very quickly. What's Thatcher still doing running about here? What's going on?
There's definitely a conversation to be had there.
Oh my goodness. That is. Well, I don't want to get into it. Don't want to get into it. That's a podcast episode, that in its own. That's a podcast episode. Anywho. Nade from below looks to be on the menu today, Ollie. Perez getting himself in position, I'm sure, to see if he can get a pick or two. Keep in mind he has two of them. Oh, maybe he himself's going to get picked, Ollie. A sliver, 1 HP. Wasn't ready for Reduct, actually using those holes to look down onto somebody sniffing below with those nades. He will now look to draw his attention towards the main stairs, but there's more than enough utility that can soak it up. Fals has that ADS and has that shield to eat up the other, so he's safe in the meantime. All he has to worry about is maybe another nade coming in from either the Finka or Perez, but still he's been able to burn them nonetheless.
Perez has really gotten away with murder there. He's actually got away with his life, and so I think Stim being very kind to him. MIBR more than happy to challenge on these vertical holes as well. We all know holes work both ways, and you've got to be willing to keep your eye on them if you're going to open them and try and make use. I think a lot of these have been instead opened by MIBR in an attempt to really start to limit what can actually be done from below, particularly at the earlier point in the round. Finally, main stairs control has been taken. Black Dragons grabbing that for themselves and planting a flag. Perez just going to be holding on to that long corridor. Seto still with a mirror window to worry about and some electrification that hasn't yet been dealt with. Now, the Cades can be placed in pesky positions, but you'd like to see that dealt with sooner rather than later so that the Hibana can look to move through, and you just remove that power position, because really this just gives Lukid far too much to peek from here live. Going to try and make a bit of an approach here, gets himself into a gunfight and wins against fouls, so no more Toxic Babe canisters here. With 20 seconds left, that's where they become the most valuable. Ion gets himself finger stimmed straight back up as Felipox goes for a C4, but will be unsuccessful. Instead, chooses to take a challenge on the long corridor and will find his mark. Kills continuing to trade here, 3 versus 3. Lukid very much an off position here, gets himself to the other side of the chassis and could come up with a slew of kills and will do just exactly that. Picks them both up there. He was being covered by his teammate behind him if required, but it was not necessary.
Ollie, I don't know if you've noticed, but on MIBR's desk, they have this little cat. I don't actually know what the name of the cat is, but it's like one of those cats that you would see where it has like the hand where it, goes up and down, up. I don't know what that cat's called, right? He uses that charm also on his guns. Is that, I don't know why I've thought that, but I just thought that was just something.
Like the gold waving cat. That
little thing. What's that called? Does anyone know what that's called?
It's called a gold waving cat. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, Dan, but it's gold, it waves, and it's a cat.
My goodness. But that just, I don't know, I just thought that. I just thought that was so cool. Don't know why, but nice little addition. I want to see more players with more little things in the desk. That's always nice to see. So
more trinkets and more clutter.
Yeah, more clutter. That's the main thing. But anyway, MIBR being able to hold firm. Lukid in the right position. I think time really went up against Black Dragons in that scenario, and Lukid knows exactly where they're going to come from, and he just sits and waits for them. We switch over now to Trophy Statuary. This has been a bomb site that a lot of teams have actually shied away from, Ollie. Teams do not want to play here. For what reason, I'm not entirely sure, but MIBR going straight across the top floor.
10 seconds to go.
So we'll see how they deal with it. Mirror windows again being dominant. One going on to that bedroom wall that kind of covers off those windows, and also one looking in towards Astra. The only issue you have with that mirror window is if a team is pushing in from the south side, so looking to take in towards Study, trying to push in from 90, that mirror window is going to be null and void and will be opened up swiftly.
We commented on this earlier in the day, didn't we, when we saw the similar mirror windows being played by MIBR against Kave, and we sort of said, against a better side, those mirror windows are just going to get destroyed. Like, you just can't afford to play mirror windows in those sort of aggressive locations and expect to consistently get away with it. The only saving grace that they've got is that Black Dragons are somewhat reluctant to run a book, which is a little bit surprising given how useful book can be, and it again drags us back to a conversation that we had yesterday about the importance of sledge and book on this map. You need to be willing to bring one, if not both. And if you're not going to bring either, well, you're likely going to struggle because of how destructible Villa can be. Those mirror windows, the best way to try and deal with them is to get yourself into kitchen and to work vertically onto them. That isn't an option here for for Black Dragon, should I say, with the kit that they're bringing. Sure, you can use the nades and you can use the Zephyr Lifeline. You're just a lot more limited in what you're able to do with it.
Yeah. So half the round still left to go. No kills as of yet, which is quite strange for how this series has went. We usually see a couple of kills, one here, two there, maybe by around this time. But both sides pretty passive for the most part. So Black Dragon's certainly trying to establish that control in towards 90, in towards the top of red stairs. There is going to be a bit of a presence. One man peeks his head up. He's like a whack-a-mole, Ollie, but he will not be whacked, and instead Black Dragons will appear with 2 kills. We still see Felipox and Redite. This is what we're talking about, Ollie, with the swings. Whenever they're not in good positions, they will still try and fight back tooth and nail with everything that they have, just to give themselves a fighting chance.
Well, we did sort of theorize if the 2 versus X was going to be as deadly as the 3 versus X that MIBR are known for, but you go peeking at the window, Redux, there really is only one thing that's going to happen, and that's going to be someone who will be watching it, especially when there is a man advantage and 45 seconds left. It's an eternity of time here in Siege. Basetto will take full advantage of that. Fouls now left in the clutches. SMG-11, Toxic Babe canisters. He's got a little bit of kit, but he hasn't got much hope or chance. Basetto swings in, picks up the last 2. Mirror window there. You can see it being opened, and well, they didn't need much encouragement to go and chase after that one.
It's the only issue whenever you lose the players and you don't really have control of those mirror windows is it's actually quite a detriment to Fowls in his position. Because if the Astro one is open and also the one on the main wall, he doesn't have anywhere that's really safe for him to try and clutch out of. So he always has to keep moving. And whenever he's moving, he's making noise. And whenever you make noise, that's information. And that information eventually will lead to a kill one way or another. So MIBR have to rethink that strategy. They tried to play in towards that red stairs, and it just didn't work for them. Black Dragons were ready for that. They were, that was their kind of goal, was to take from that south side and push across as best as they could. So that's one round back for them. And this is what they needed. This is what we mentioned about Black Dragons. They need to keep MIBR at bay. The only map that they've won so far in Clubhouse, they kept it level right the way through.
It's exactly what we need to see. If MIBR start to streak rounds away, then it really is almost good night. Black Dragons start to almost do it to themselves at that point, but MIBR are going to stick to a rotation here and take us downstairs into kitchen. Not going to choose to give it another attempt upstairs. Calls for a slightly different arrangement of operators. Gone is the mirror. Instead, we pick up an Oryx. Lucid. Big fan of the Oryx, isn't he? At this point, I'm thinking that Lucid likes the Oryx as much for the gun as anything else. The ability, it's meh. If you bring in two shotguns, realistically, do you need anyone that can punch through a wall in no time at all? It can be handy for rotations, but more often than not, he's just using it to get from A to B a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it's a good showcase of Oryx. I hope you don't get any ideas, Ollie, and you don't start here thinking, oh, I'll play Oryx. Yeah, I've seen Lucid do well with it. No, because, Ollie, I'm going to burst a bubble here. You're not Lucid.
That's a shame, because I was about to queue up and play Oryx.
No, do not play Oryx. No, do not. It's again, I don't really see the value. I would still group Oryx under the same category like the Chanka, where I just don't think you're gonna get your buck, for how much you're spending on it. You're not gonna get that money back. But still, if he's having fun with it, and he can get the kills. As long as he gets the kills and he's showing up, you can't really complain. And he done that in coastline. He's done that very successfully so far in this tournament. Perez, look at this, a bit of a slippy one trying to get in through the old barrel, but that's actually shoot it out. This is the only real disadvantage with Ian. It doesn't have any strong soft destruction, as in like to open up walls. Obviously the nades and the gun 6 can still destroy different gadgets, but being able to burst through walls, it doesn't really exist. And Black Dragons have just all slipped in from different points. Perez found one kill, and Ion finds another, and Kitchen is wide open for the taking. Basetto, he's by himself. He's like, how have I got here? He can easily get a plant down, but maybe just cautious of the pressure above. Philippok's actually slipping away. He's actually not in a position to try and stop the plant. MIBR have to try and retake this bomb site.
Basetto deep behind enemy lines here. He's been in sight for, feels like 30 to 40 seconds now, and he's still not been able to find a plant, and he's squandered his time. Demo Fowls comes through and shuts him down. He's already found one on the lower stairs. Can choose to Toxic Babe that off as well. Give himself a little bit of surety. Finker boost coming in. You don't want to be anywhere near that Toxic Babe canister when the Finker boost is on, otherwise you'll take double damage as those lung falls really do start to punish. Fowls eventually shut down. Patoxy with a nice little swing there is going to see to that. Lucid and Philippox, a lot of work to do. Time in there for Philippox, but he corrects it, Demo. Picks the kill up as he's jumping over the top rail. Shuts live down, keeping the score level at 2 apiece. Philippox and Lucid now both in position to make that rotation back into sight, but the diffuser has been recovered, and Ion is going to do the right thing and nail it to the ground. Patoxy, essentially 1 versus 2 for this short period of time while the plant is going down, but Philippox has chosen to make that rotation. Instead, looking to try and pull a little bit of a pincer maneuver off here, but is it going to be enough? Patoxy takes Lucid down, and Philippox, he is going to be the last man standing. Goes for a C4 and a shot, but misses both. Patoxy, big standout player there.
Yeah, he stepped up to the plate, didn't he? Things were not looking good. Basetto didn't want to plant, and I don't know why, because it was free, Ollie. There was nobody around him. He's tucked in behind that desk. Nobody's going to kill him from that position, but he just doesn't. He just stands in the middle of the room and gets picked off. I mean, I think he's very fortunate his team were able to kind of drag him out of that situation, because that would not have looked good if they had won that round. But still, MIBR, they drop another one. That roam game being exploited. If you lose the players on the actual bomb site and everyone's off roaming, you then become an attacker in many principles. If you're a defender, you have to retake the bomb site. All the defenders, they have to swing into the angles that they know are not fun to swing into. So I think MIBR have to either try and pull more people back to site or make sure your anchors are in silly positions where they're going to get picked like that.
It comes back to MIBR's stubbornness on staying out on the roam, and it's partly a stubbornness and it's also partly they just get cut off and there's just no real way back. But it's something that we saw on Chalet a little bit earlier on today when they played versus Akave, is they'd sometimes get themselves into position where they just sort of gave up the site. They left Fowls to play there on his own. There's only so much one man an SMG-11 and a shotgun can do, and once the site is lost, well, the defenders become the attackers become the defenders, and it can be difficult then for the roamers to really get their way back on in safely and retake. And a classic example of that there was what we saw in round number 3. But we move once again, and MIBR looking to find something here on Villa. They've already been successful once, and they're going to be going back to that site again. Aviator in games room. This was still quite a close round. Comes down to a 2 versus 2 previously, and not a lot of time remaining. I think that there's maybe a slightly different approach here going on from Black Dragons. Previously, they went very vertical, trying to take control of main lobby into art room. Main stairs was the focus, but already we can see their intention demo.
Yeah, changing things up. MIBR ready, of course, with that roam game as always. It's like clockwork. It's just you expect. It's like the opening intro, isn't it? If you sit down for a TV show, you know what's going to flash up on your screen, and that's a roam game from MIBR. No doubt about it. Red Stairs has been something that's kind of came into the meta as of recent. That's actually teams trying to hold on to Red Stairs as long as they can. Usually it doesn't end too well because it is very difficult to hold on to Red Stairs. There's a lot of different angles you have to be worried about, and sometimes the defender who's playing there can get pinched and can get trapped in between. So that's the only thing you have to worry about, but still it's there to burn some time. I think whoever plays Red Stairs, they either acknowledge that it's not going to work and they run back to site, or they just accept their fate and they're going to try and take as many people as they can down with them.
Perez just going to be hanging around on the 90. Toxie now looking to make that rotation. So main stairs is still going to be pushed at some point. And it's inevitable that it's going to be, but it just really becomes about at what time you choose to really make that push happen. And if you can catch MIBR at a point where they maybe aren't paying as full attention. Toxie just giving himself further options here, looking on into study. Still the mirror windows there to be dealt with. I believe one is going to be smashed there, so it's not too much to worry about, but there's still the potential for a swing off the back of it. Live, just going to check those red stairs as Ion sitting at the top should be relatively happy that everything is going to be clear. Player found out inside of the vault. Again, not too much of a surprise. But slowly, Black Dragons are piecing together the puzzle here. Bit of utility going to be sent on through. Live does have the diffuser in hand and is going to be able to try and make something happen. Ion there with the plant. Fowls and Reduct come up with a couple of kills apiece. Fowls trying his best with the Toxic Babe canisters through both of the windows, but it isn't going to be enough to stop the plant from going down.
Lukid swinging in, has to try and retake study, but it's going to be difficult for him. There is going to be a man lurking and will win the engagement. Now it does open things up to potential peek from that study door. Reduct has to support him though. Lukid takes a couple of shots and the man prone behind the desk. Reduct trying to help him, but the man in zombie door is there, and it's the cleanup. A 1 versus 2 now. Live has to make it happen, but no, Fowls swinging in through 90. A great retake from MIBR, and all of it really hinged on Lukid retaking that study control.
Luca did a great job there. Purely the right place at the right time. MIBR. It's not often that we've seen a plant go down in this series. Especially a plant that then gets retaken like that. Black Dragons have got to feel a little bit hard done to there. Maybe a slight overcommitment to the site and not enough control over inside of that study area. Luca being able to rotate around, be in the right place at the right time. It keeps things competitive here. This smacks of Clubhouse demo. We've not seen a competitive map like this where both teams have been vying round after round for a bit of a while now.
Indeed, and this is what we kind of mentioned about the mentality for MIBR. They play very heavily into let's win as many rounds in a row as we can and just kind of just mud the enemy team, and they're probably sitting there thinking, oh, it's a 5-1 half, it's a 6-0 half in some instances. How do we come back from this? But I think Black Dragons have done well to stop that bleeding and really gain control of this matchup now. 2-2, definitely potential for Black Dragons to even win more rounds, and I think that's what they need. I think Black Dragons, for that bit of security, they need another round. They need one round. That makes it interesting.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, if Black Dragons are able to clinch a 3-3 half, that's when things start to get quite exciting. And the pressure really does start to mount, and we can no longer see those air quote reset rounds that MIBR like to throw into the mix, where if a couple of things don't go well, if plan A and B fail, they just sort of throw the towel in and just chuck bodies at a problem. That's not going to fly if Black Dragons hit that equal half. So big couple of rounds coming up here for Black Dragons. Good to see that they've got this much fight left in them as well. They obviously really want this because they've essentially been rolled over in the previous 2 maps, but to come out in map number 4 and still be swinging, still be wailing on their opponent, they've certainly got a lot of heart in this fixture. Obviously got their eyes firmly set on that 6 invitational spot.
Have indeed. Both teams wanting that spot, but only one of them can get it. Who is it going to be? Will it be decided on Villa? Will MIBR be able to clean things up and try and take this map? Or will we head to Cafe? Will we see all 5 in this best of 5? Opening pick goes in favor of Black Dragons. Down goes Lukid, who's been, I'd say, the standout player so far today for MIBR in my eyes. I know that Reduct had a big game earlier against the Cafe, but right now it has been all about Lukid, and Raps has got the freest kill that we have had so far in the series. Big old Mistron comes in from Black Dragons, and Raps has been able to steal that kill, and he's on his way. Oh, never mind, Patoxi's there to clean things up. At least they get the trade-off, Ollie, but that should be... The drone should be better than that. You know, that shouldn't happen to begin with.
Bomb located by attackers.
It's not the first time we've seen a missed drone happen either from Black Dragons. They do tend to get a little bit quick and a little bit sloppy with those drones as the rounds develop. Mind you, it's not the first time we've seen MIBR miss drone either. It's almost been a running theme throughout this series so far. I think back to the rounds over on Coastline where they could have done with a little bit of a thorough looking around every corner before committing in. Still, doesn't put Black Dragons in the worst spot here. They do lead by 1 man. Look to try and leverage that advantage that they've got. But everyone seems fairly split up at the moment. We've got Patoxi coming in down long corridor. We've got a little bit of presence on statue doorway. Patoxi, patience pays off here. He gets the glimpse of the barrel of the gun, but it's not going to be enough. He's instead going to get double peeked as he draws for the nade in an attempt to try and salvage what was quite a lackluster pinch there. Perez shuts down for Leapox. Can he find the second? The answer is going to be no. Reduct and that Vector, a deadly combination that we've already seen put to use today. 2 versus 2, 19 seconds. Fouls. He's going to get caught looking the wrong way here. He's entirely unaware of where Patoxi is at this moment in time, and there's the kill that comes through. Live trades out onto Redux, leaves us in a good old-fashioned 1 versus 1. The diffuser not in Live's hands, and well, a shotgun at close range. There's only one person in the world that I would trust with a shotgun in that closer range, Demo, and that has got to be Fouls. He is consistent as ever. Rock solid. You give him a situation like that with a shotgun, he isn't going to let you down.
Hit some of the rock bottom there, Ollie. That's him. Oh, my goodness. I mean, just MIBR just have that safety net. I mean, how much does that play into, you know, the team, you know, the team and how they think, knowing that if things go wrong, you have someone like that. In this 1v1, I'm sure all the MIBR boys are sitting there thinking,
5 seconds left.
This is easy. He wins this every day of the week. That's the trust that they have in each other. You know, they're. I know that this team, it kind of got formed back whenever they were still known as Team 1 before we kind of had that organization switch. And they were a new team back then. This team's been together for, you know, a year, over a year, Ollie. It's been a long time. And you can see that they've settled. That this is it. You know, they've settled into each other.
Something that strikes me about MIBR is that they really do tend to perform better after they've lost a body or two. In that 4 versus 5, 3 versus 5, we've joked about it, but it must be something to do with the different level of comms that start to come through.
Something.
I think it's a different level of comms because they don't always play someone that's going to be sitting on a camera. They don't really play an
They don't
echo.
play info ops.
Valkyrie's always banned. There's rarely a bulletproof kicking around.
Yeah.
Like they just don't do that. But there must just be something that they manage to do when one or two of them fall back to the cameras and the stat scrolling defaults, or they're looking at different POVs and try and piece together a bit of a plan. The clarity of calls that must come out in that time, it must be really good, because that's one of the only things that I can think of that is a big enough difference maker for them. Because, you know, in a 5 versus 5, these guys are just running at windows. They hear a noise and they're like, yep, we'll go into it. We're just going to run full steam ahead, W shift, and see what we can find. But when one or two have dropped off, you just get that clarity, and they really do seem to come away with rounds.
Confidence, they believe in each other. If someone gets told to swing this, they'll do it. Not even a second thought. They will do what they're told. And Raps, I don't think he knows that Iana actually jumped into bathroom previously, and I think Raps is going to be a dead man here any minute, Ollie. There's no way that he's going to expect Perez to already be in. He's probably sitting here waiting for like a sound cue, hearing somebody vault in through the window, but that's already happened. Perez ain't moving though. He's going to sit still and just bide his time. We know that Perez, we've seen him in Clubhouse, he's a patient player. He will sit and wait until he is in that perfect position to get himself a kill. Black Dragons now rotating over towards that laundry side, and they will start to open up that wall. And MIBR, somehow Raps has been able actually to get away. So Perez, he's missed his chance.
Perez just playing a little bit too passively there. I think, as you say, if he'd have just pushed up a little bit more aggressively, you might have seen a bit more of an opening. Instead, he's going to take a stance and just keep an eye on in towards site. No clear intention to clear this top floor, which could be quite dangerous. If you leave players like Lukid out there on the roam with a lot of room and space to move in, you are asking for trouble. Opening up that laundry, it's a small part of the puzzle. With the hatch being open above it, it's a very difficult push to try and make if you haven't already got somebody in upstairs inside a master.
So 5-5, no kills yet, Ollie. This is strange territory. Oh, never mind, Caster's Curse. That trade comes in 1-for-1 and another 1-for-1. It's a 3 versus 3 now, MIBR. Again, it looks as if they've lost the side control, Ollie, and they have to try and retake. Lukid is still upstairs, can maybe try and get himself in towards bedroom, utilize the hatch perhaps. Basetto now makes that entrance in, trying to look for that diffuse and tries to make it stick. Reduct and Fleepox, I think, almost waiting for Lukid to make the big play. Ion will shift in, find Reduct. This is free for Lukid, and it will be from above. Drops down through the hatch, will see the diffuser, and gets his kill also. Lukid, a massive play. Now he's in the 1 versus 1. Fleepox has been down. He's going to be out of it. Patoxy, all the pressure is on him. Does he go for the kill? Does he try and get the diffuser? Lukid with a great angle, pre-fired. Doesn't catch anything. Patoxy swings. Neither of them finishing off. Lukid, is he going to win it out? No, he will not. Patoxy stands tall. And that one meant something for them.
Lukid's been robbed there, hasn't he? He played it perfectly. He did his part well. He played the hatch. I said, you can't give Lukid that much space upstairs and a hatch to play with. He did everything but pick up that final kill. Patoxy has gotten away with murder. Really, really has there. It's kept the game competitive, though. And look, every single round that MIBR lose, regardless of the overall position they're in the map and the series, it just looks like it kills them. They look physically beaten at that point, but they win a round and they'll be all smiles again. It is very difficult to gauge and to judge the vibe and the mental state of that team because they're just so emotionful about every little round. Toxie, he's played that one well. Lukid, a little bit starved for info, always a difficult one. If there'd have only been 5 seconds left, it would have been an entirely different clutch. But the fact that there was 10, there was a lot of time for Toxic to do something. If Lukid just dips and runs away, the diffuser gets recovered, the plan starts going down, it starts to get a bit complicated at that point. But realistically, the round went to Black Dragons. A 3-3 split, nice and even. Exactly what we needed to see here for Black Dragons if they have any chance of staying in this and taking us to our 5th and final map.
10 seconds to go.
Still a ways to go, though.
Or indeed, even split. Now we see the side changes. MIBR, we didn't really get to see a whole lot of their attacks in Villa, Ollie. Only 2 rounds that we've seen because, of course, their defensive half was so good. So I still feel as if we're in uncharted territory for MIBR and how they're actually going to play these attacks. I think we've seen that they really like to go below. You know, they try to utilize the nade game from downstairs, using soft destruction, anything that they really could. You know, you're seeing Sophia be brought in. That was an operator that was specifically target banned by Black Dragons in our last map of Coastline. Did it really pay off? I don't think it did, and it hasn't been warranted again from Black Dragons. Instead, Flores was their attacking ban, and straight away, MIBR right on that Sophia.
And Fleetbox straight on the opener with said Sophia. Live going to be the first player to fall. We didn't get to see that much of the attacks, as you say, Demo, from MIBR, but they went 1 for 1. So by all accounts, a 50-50 ratio. Nothing above average, nothing below there. But
ratio.
Obviously, a sample size of 2 is not sufficient really to give a full and proper judgment. We've really got to base this off a round by round basis and kind of judge it off the attacks that they've shown us already so far today, which for the most part have been fairly reasonable.
The word ratio is forever going to be ruined for me, by the way, just because of social media and what it's done.
Yeah,
so that has been ruined. The setup, though, on the stairs, been able to ruin one player, and there's Batoxi jumping in with another, so a 3 versus 4 in MIBR. Backs up against the wall once again. This main stairs take has not worked for them, and it's just going from bad to worse. Perez finds Reduct, and it's down to Raps and down to Felipox. I mean, Felipox with that big LMG could definitely make it sing, and even Raps, he has his own LMG. The double LMGs could perhaps do something. There's 1 kill back, and Raps looking to engage, and there's a second. Jumps over the mantle at 2 versus 2 all of a sudden. There's still a minute to go, Wally. This is doable, definitely doable from MIBR.
Shocking quick round from MIBR, really, if you think about it. And Raps just displaying how willing he is to get himself into the fight. Gonna lose a drone to a mute jammer there, which isn't ideal, but it's very easily dealt with, and the droning can continue. Plenty of time to fact find and figure out where these 2 remaining players are going to be. Raps, he's got an inkling that one's going to be playing inside of games. Do they know the other one's just on the other side of Aviator, though? Just hanging around at the top of those red stairs. A little bit of utility to be played around with here as well. Lifeline just getting switched over there as the wall will now be breached open. Fleetbox, there's potential for a plant on here, but Raps is going to give the game away, gets himself down. Unfortunately for him, Fleetbox with the rotation over on into Vault, but at the same time, we see the rotating player for MIBR. Raps has gotten himself up with the Finger Stim ability, but Fleetbox, surely your moments are numbered here as Perez comes in with a brilliantly timed swing. Raps now trying to pick up some pieces here. Tries the hop over once again, but it isn't going to work for the second time. Black Dragons get themselves off the mark on defense.
That's a tense one. And I think whenever you see the Sophia pick herself up, then you think, oh my word, this could end miserably. Still, you know, a new feature that even some people forget that it can still happen. You know, usually think, oh, that player's downed. That they're down. You can't touch them. But nope, Finka gets herself back up. MIBR going to go for a timeout. Not happy with how that round played out. And again, it's very early on into their attacks also to be going for this. But maybe they see something that we don't that needs to be shut down immediately.
I think it shows that level of respect to Black Dragons, doesn't it? That they're taking it so soon. They don't want this one to run away from them. And they're really conscious that anything that needs to be solved, it needs to be solved fairly quickly, because if this goes back and forth like it has done, there's a very real danger of ending up on our 5th and final map. Black Dragons, of course, get the same opportunity to have a little bit of a natter. More of what's going well and less of what's going badly, please, is typically how these things go. But a very short amount of time to significantly reinvent the team, but you can always just take that moment to breathe and say, look, we just need to slow things down a little bit. For all that it did come down to a 1 versus 1, I think MIBR maybe did take a few things maybe a little bit too aggressively there inside of that last round. So chance to just put the brakes on a little bit.
Back into it. Round number 8. Into the kitchen bomb site for Black Dragons, shying away from that trophy statuary. Into kitchen they go. I mean, kitchen is so far from what we've seen from MIBR, they defended it pretty weird. Like they, on both occasions, just gave up bomb site control in a blink of an eye. Like they didn't even contest it. They played for the retakes, and they lost it both times on them.
Yeah, really strange to see, wasn't it? I mean, it's more and more becoming a sort of signature play from MIBR. You can already tell that with the lineup that Black Dragons are bringing to the mix, there's going to be no intention to leave the site entirely unmanned. Live on the Pulse is going to be trying to feed a lot of that information back to his team to try and affect onto any players that try and take up that vertical pressure.
5 seconds to insertion.
Capcan as well being brought, not only for the traps, but also for the C4 as well. If you're going to bring a Pulse, it's always handy to have a couple of C4s thrown in there, and that's exactly what the Capcan brings in this round. Seto on the mute. C4 is almost a mandatory pick as well, so plenty of opportunity there to really affect quite heavily onto any vertical game that MIBR are going to choose to bring, and well, they're bringing a sledge, so you would expect that there's going to be at least some.
I am interested to see how MIBR actually want to kind of approach the vertical action, because they're bringing Sledge for a reason, Ollie. And Sledge is going to be great, obviously, for getting in top floor and trying to open things up. And, you know, similar to what I kind of harped on about on Coastline, was you basically just clear everyone out of the bomb site. And I think if MIBR kind of take that approach, I think it'll be good. You know, we kind of looked at MIBR and they struggled with actually retaking Kitchen. It's a difficult one to try and retake, and they suffered from it both times. So I could certainly see that kind of in their regime of success. And they are going to try and look for maybe a sweep throughout the top floor, and then that will lead them into that upstairs control. Is anyone roaming, though? That's the real question. It doesn't look as if anyone's in the immediate kind of bedroom area, but certainly in towards Trophy and Statuary. That's what they have to worry about. 2 players above. And also the Pulse. That can also be a pesky thing. Pulse, excellent operator for this bomb site. One of my favorites. The information you can get, you can straight away pinpoint, okay, there's 3 guys in the balcony. We know they're going upstairs for the vertical action. Oh, there's 3 guys outside laundry. They're probably going to try a rush. All of that information is crucial for then shuffling around your defenders. So, yeah, love the Pulse pick.
For all that MIBR have brought the sledge, Luke isn't really in the optimal position to really make use of that. Fowls has got a line of sight open as a finger stim comes through. It's usually followed by a little bit of action, but in this case, I guess not. You can hear some pre-fires going off in the distance, but nothing really that would indicate a serious sort of push there. Leapok's going to try and worm his way on through, but Seto, I mean, Raps, why are you pushing in like that? Like, what is going on, Demo?
This seems to be just an everywhere push. They're coming in from all different angles, and right now, oh, it was almost working, but the Capcan traps come in massive. They were unchecked, and MIBR are suffering from that lack of information. They pinpointed about 3 different entrances into the bomb site, and they tried to expose that, but sadly, it's not working for them. Fowls does have kitchen control, but he needs to rely on Reduct being able to eliminate somebody inside of laundry, but Reduct instead is actually going to try and rotate over and support his teammate. They can try and go for a plant, but they don't have really any information to go for it. In comes the plant, all pressure on Reduct. He has to give the cover at C4, down goes Reduct, and it leaves Fowls now in the 1 versus 3. There's no chance of Philippox getting picked up. All pressure on Fowls, toss that in flashbang, has that bomb chassis, can try and use it as a bit of cover. Slips in now, sees the Pulse, he's just sitting watching. Maybe he thought that player was alive, but in reality, it was a down Sophia. A 1 versus 2. Potential for Fowls. A Toxic versus Ion. Fowls will swing in now into a 1 versus 1. Backs away. That's the correct call. Plays it patient. This is where Patoxy has to go big. He has to be the aggressor. All Fowls has to do is play the time. Diffuser will be stuck. Fowls runs up, and will he get the kill? It's going to be a stick. Oh, Fowls in the final second. Gets the headshot. My, oh my. Fowls, a massive 1v3. He does it again. Praise him. Look, praise him, Ollie.
Fowls, the man that can't get a fist bump is the man that consistently clutches up here for MIBR. What a display of skill. Decision-making on point there. There was a time where you sort of looked at that attack and you go, what on earth are MIBR going for? What on earth are they going for? And Fowls makes sense of it. Takes control, takes the reins. Great decision to back off. You can see the time remaining 14 or so seconds. Toxie thinking that he's going to be able to stick it. Fals doesn't doubt his aim at that point. He knows that it's a clean shot, freest shot he's ever seen in his life, and he just goes and takes it. Levels things up at 4 rounds apiece. A massive round there for MIBR, and one that is going to give them a little bit more confidence now, I think, moving into the rest of this map.
So weird. Like, what a weird round. The kind of attack was, okay, everyone pick a doorway and we'll just try and push through it. You looked at Basetto, just walked in, the shotgun's there. You think, what are you doing? And then Capcan traps out of nowhere, Ollie. Capcan ruins them, muds them in the mental. It's a 1 versus 3 for Fals. Philippok's down. And then Philippok's just sitting there. And did you see the Pulse? The Pulse is sitting looking at him as if he's an alive player.
Yeah. I mean, it was the Pulse was the best player to pick there, because that was my biggest concern.
That's the info.
I was like, you need to remove the info if you can, because you know that you're getting pulsed from somewhere.
That's unreal. That's you'll never see another round like that. That's phenomenal. That. Hi, oh my.
Who can demo?
Capcan.
Capcan.
Yeah. So, anywho, we move in now to that trophy statuary. Kitchen is going to be erased very quickly from Black Dragon's memory, because that's a round that they should have had in the bag with that strange attack that MIBR went for. So, typically for trophy statuary, it's usually about the underneath control, and that's because Kaid's open inside of this game. If you want to try and go for that kind of default master bedroom take, Ollie, you want to open up that triple wall as quick as you can. With Kaid, makes it a little bit more difficult. So you need to get kitchen control, get in there with the soft destruction, get the nades in, find the Kaid claw, and then finally open up the wall. It's as simple as that. But as we know, in this game, where the defenders, they're not chained to the bottom site, they can get out and about, and they can cause issues for that initial attack.
And issues is exactly what Black Dragons is causing MIBR. They're not rolling over in these rounds. These rounds are being won off the back of serious clutches from sometimes either side, but more often than not, it seems to be MIBR. And I mean, more often than not, it's Fals on the other end of the gun when that clutch comes in. Seriously, hot player today's put in a massive shift, not only in this fixture, but in the previous one as well against Takave. Really trying to drag his team through, but nothing much separating the two teams here. 4 versus 4 in terms of round count. Trophy and Statuary next up on the hit list. MIBR taking their sweet time about things, which is something that we've really come to expect here. They like to formulate quite a thorough plan before committing. It's either that or they just blindly commit. There really isn't too much in between. But this certainly looks like one of those chances and one of those times where they are just going to set themselves up. We've got players hanging around Wolf Window. We've got a little bit of presence inside of Astronomy in near Bathroom. Redux now coming up the 90 corridor, but loses the engagement. First 2 kills go in favor of Black Dragons. The wall unable to be opened. Fals, is he going to win the engagement on the 90? On the Astro, excuse me. Yes, he is, but even that is a little bit too much for Fals to try and cope with. And there it is, Demo. It's either a very slow and very considered approach, or somebody just says the go word and everyone just runs in, and that's exactly what MIBR did.
Yeah, clinical. That's what you call that one. That's a good round, and that just amps the pressure up even more so. MIBR. This is like, I mean, pretty much what we kind of worried about, isn't it, Ollie? I mean, that's how Black Dragons, they should be defending those. And probably some of the rounds that we've seen from MIBR, they were able to get away with that, but Black Dragons have caught on now. You know, they've kind of got that scent, haven't they? And they're able to, okay, we know exactly what you're doing. Bang, bang, bang. We've put a player here, put a player there. You're done. And, you know, they've adapted very well. So Black Dragons are just one step closer to this map victory. It will push us into Cafe. MIBR, I'm sure, will not be rolling over that easily. This is probably the closest map that we've had so far, and it's good to see it done on Villa.
Absolutely. I think if there was any map that was going to be really close, it was going to be a Villa, wasn't it? You know, we saw a fairly close Clubhouse to start things off. Black Dragons, it's going to feel like a long time ago for them that Clubhouse was the map, of course, that they won right at the start of this series. They're still hanging on here on Villa. 1 round away from a map point, 2 rounds away from locking out this map and guaranteeing us our final. Goyoshill's been placed facing the 90 window, and I think with the way that MIBR approached, they approached quite heavily through that main stair area. I remember the sort of defining moment of this site last time was Raps flying over the banister and taking a couple of kills. The LNG's really singing through, but maybe a slightly different approach here is on the cards for MIBR.
Yeah, it was lackluster, wasn't it? The main stairs wasn't really in control at any moment for MIBR in their initial phase. It was very lackluster. So hopefully they can rectify those mistakes, or like you said, maybe looking to change things up and going from another avenue. I'm seeing a lot of people still towards that south side of the map, Ollie, so I think they may still go for the main stairs take. They just need to be better at it. That's the best way. Just be better. I know that's... God, me sitting here a caster telling these players to be better. God, shame on me. But it's true. You need to be more clinical with how you deal with the utility. As soon as those grenades start flying, you need people following up, ready to follow in with those grenades and try and get those kills.
Valz is going to try and burn out the top of the main stairs now. Probably in anticipation for Lukid to make that challenge. He's got a little bit of vertical to worry about here, but he's still got 2 nades in pocket that he can try and make something happen with. He knows that there's going to be somebody on those main stairs. He's going to be able to hear the shotgun ringing out. This is almost a freebie. All he's got to do is cook the nade to the right temperature, and he'll do just exactly that. Lukid shuts Live down. Live gets caught there on the Z-ping. Second nade is going to come through now. Maybe just looking for something to wash down that opener demo.
A bomb has been located.
See if he can get it. Fleapox trying to hold on to that angle through the vertical. That will look onto that long corridor. Raps with the LMG, but it's still all Black Dragons. Main stairs again being left uncontested. The same story for MIBR. They can't take main stairs, and they're being punished for it. Fleapox now 1 versus 3. Can he make it happen? It's not looking likely. Will swing in towards Study, but there is a lot of holes being opened up. A lot of different angles he has to worry about. It's inside a Study firmly now, and he will destroy that smoke canister and rotates outside, picks up the diffuser, back in he goes. But at this stage, all Black Dragons need to do is sit and wait for Fleapox to run into him. Actually stuns himself, actually engages on the Perez, and nobody's there for the trade-off. 1 versus 2, you don't want to be given Fleapox any signs that he could maybe win this. His HP says otherwise. Now he moves in. Will he be caught out? Looking for the player in behind the bar. Sprays on through, but there's Patuxi. He was in vault the whole time, hanging on to it. Map point for Black Dragons.
Map point to keep them in the series as well. That's the important one there. This is seriously do or die time for Black Dragons, but they are holding on fantastically. Really good patience shown there, particularly by Patuxi, not looking to leave anything up to chance, just let that clock run down and really let the pressure start to mount onto Fleapox. He didn't have any information there as to where those remaining players could have been. But again, such a strange take. MIBR just so focused on that Study and main stairs that everything else just falls by the wayside.
My goodness. Just MIBR, it's one crucial thing if you're going for that kind of Study-sided take. You know, we've kind of looked and seen that they have no intention, Ollie, of actually going for like a bedroom player and trying to sweep over in towards, you know, maybe Vault Wall. Vault Wall has been... I don't think teams know that Vault Wall exists because it hasn't been touched at all. No LATAM team wants to go anywhere near that. Which is surprising because it's a very strong key component that you can just create another piece of mayhem that defenders have to deal with.
I mean, you open Vault Wall and Patuxi can't sit in there for the half of the round.
True. Yeah, very true.
You know, just give a little bit of focus. And it gives a little bit of focus and purpose to the round as well. It's not just about then brute forcing your way through main stairs and trying to find up kills with nades from below. It then becomes very differently about, you know, manipulating the players that are inside a site and setting up those crossfires for them. It's just not an intention that we've really seen. So, strange from MIBR. They're going to be attacking once again downstairs into kitchen. I think the living room library was hovered for a time, but it has been confirmed as kitchen as the site. This was the Fowls round. This was the round where Fowls started to make sense of all of the mess that was going on previously. It's a similar lineup for Black Dragons. They've still got the pulse and the 3 C4s. Just the big difference is that one of those C4s is in the hands of a Mozzie, not a Capcan. Capcan did play his part with those entry denials in the previous time we saw this site, but Perez obviously not feeling like it was quite enough.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Once again, MIBR looking to push in towards that laundry. I'm sure open up that wall as quickly as they can. They had a strange plan, Ollie, and that was just push in from as many different angles as they can and try and take the frags. Unfortunately, they were not ready for the Capcan, which did a lot of damage and actually picked off a few players in that instance. Again, Pulse makes that appearance, just I mentioned last time, just great for that information. You can really feed that over, and oh, Black Dragons have actually stopped this very high aggressive push that MIBR came in with. My goodness, I thought Lukid was on for an easy kill onto Ion, but he actually said no to him, still gets a trade-off, but it has not ended well for MIBR. They are a man down in potentially the final round of the Villa. This is looking good for Black Dragons.
Certainly not looking bad at all. There's been worse starts to the round throughout the course of the series. MIBR need to come up with a plan, and they need to come up with something relatively quickly. They've got a minute to play with. Redux on the Jackal this time. That's been brought in as almost a last-ditch attempt to try and give MIBR a little bit more information here, which is something that they've somewhat been lacking. They're able to get a Jackal scan onto a player in sight and start to open up a little bit of that floor and put a few pot shots in down there. Nothing too significant just yet, though. Fouls just hanging around inside a laundry. And the game is up, though. Pulse has caught a glimpse, and that's all that really Pulse is going to need before it forces Fouls to just think twice and push back a little bit further. Raps now trying to make something happen with the nade. This is what happens when you lose the sledge. You end up using nades to try and make holes and to try and give you a little bit of line of sight. Bit of a burn coming through, but unfortunately MIBR are going to stun themselves there as Raps aggresses down those Astro stairs, but it doesn't come without casualty. Fouls falls, and with it the diffuser wraps into the waiting arms of Live, and Live's going to pick up the final 2 as Black Dragons, they make the comeback happen demo. They level things up, and they guarantee that we're going to go to all 5 maps here to decide which of these 2 teams is heading to SI.
Oh, all 5, here we go. What a bounce back from Black Dragons. I mean, MIBR, yes, they won some rounds,